but just being aware of how you are going to feel and prepping for it.
I think there's a lot of practical things that people can do. You know, if you are furloughed and you have got, or, you know, maybe without employment and you're looking to get back to work, you know, you can be learning, you can be, you know, researching online, you can be preparing yourself for employment, you can be, there's practical things that you can be doing. I know when, you know, at the end of that kind of where we left Noni, you decided to start your own business, didn't you?
I did, and completely off piste, really. To frame that, when we were talking about terminology in terms of disability and limitation, what happened to me is it was literally a day turnaround. I received my car blue badge from the council, my disabled parking badge, and I don't know whether it's an epiphany or what it was, but it just suddenly came crushing down on me. My improvements in health were exceptional in comparison to what I was told they would be, but they'd stopped. And I couldn't quite work out why they'd stopped. And I was really frustrated by this notion that I had no further to go. And then I got this disability badge from the council. And whilst I had a gratitude for the support, and actually, to be honest, I was on long-term disability benefits, which when you're in that category are perfectly functional benefits. That, you know, it's not a small amount of money. And I could have functioned forever on that. I was given a life's pass to work. So I had no issues. But it still, for me, wasn't the life that I wanted. And I wanted to have more scope out with that to, you know, provide better experiences for my children and things like that. And then this day I get this badge, and it dawned on me that the constant reinforcement from everybody else that I was disabled, this disability allowance, this situation, and I'm not, by the way, I should preface this by saying I'm not suggesting that this is the same for everybody.
Absolutely,
okay?
Yeah.
At all. There are some people who are, you know, with limitations, the word is not great, but with a situation where the adaptations around them from society aren't good enough to support them. So, you know, there are situations where you can't do this. But for me, I just felt, okay, the rest of the world is telling me I'm disabled to the point that I am now believing it, and it's become a mind blocker, and my own health and well-being is now halted. So I rang up my disability benefits people and I said, I want out. And they thought I was completely mental. So have you got mental health issues as well as physical? Also, given the fact that I had mobility issues, genuine mobility issues, I really went for a particularly weird one. So I actually thought, well, I've been out of the game so long, I'm not going to get employed in the places I want to get employed. So I'm just going to start my own business as a cleaner. I've got OCD, I'm great at it, let's give it a bash. My then partner's mother was a cleaner for a lot of the really swanky homes in Edinburgh. It was a decent enough pay, and I thought, well, let's give it a go. And I had a kind of deal with the people that I was cleaning for. You know, listen, I'm going to charge you for 2 hours because that's how long it should take, but it may well take me 4 or 5 at the moment because of my physical limitations or issues that I'm currently experiencing. And they were okay with that. So it was a really interesting sort of piece. So I would sit for, you know, I would kind of go around these houses for 5 or 6 hours for what should take 2. But what I noticed is very, very quickly, my physical abilities got better and better and better. And just by using myself in a different way, and by the mental sort of approach of a belief every day, because I was going and doing something physical, even with differences to how I had to do it, I was having to adapt the job around me and having to make allowances for how long it was taking. The improvements were massive. And within within about 4 or 5 months, I was at a point where nobody had a clue anything was wrong with me.
That's fantastic. That must have been such a moment of personal victory.
Massively. And I should point out that after this, I still had a further 3 surgeries. I still had some major problems. I ended up in hospital for nearly 5 months, and other stuff happened, but the mindset had totally shifted. I was no longer disabled. I was a person who had been dealt a particular deck of cards. This was my deck of cards, and how I played it would have to adapt at different points, but ultimately it was still playable. I think that's what the change was. And from that, the knock-on effect for the career was hilarious, because one of the houses I was cleaning in, because I was there so much and for so long, I got chatting a lot to the people that owned the property, and the chap in one of these areas happened to be a really well-connected individual who, through talking to me a lot, kind of kept saying, what are you doing this for? You know, what's what, you know, with your capability in terms of your background from a career perspective and your sort of
your mind.
My mind. Why have you chosen to do this and not something a little bit different? And I had lengthy chats with him, and before I knew it, he put me in touch with some colleagues of his and some connections who were running a really interesting business continuity firm. And I started suddenly overnight my own personal assistant consultancy, working for this organization. And knock-on effect from that, I just got referral after referral. And before I knew it, I think you're talking maybe a 2-year span from when I signed off disability to I was hitting a 4K a month mark as my own personal assistant business.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I know 2 years isn't like 2 minutes, but it's amazing how you managed to turn that situation on its head.